You got a 1 in 57 chance of hitting a deer while driving in Wisconsin? Just ask them. Yep, they learned the hard way. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton were massive for the Bucks as they picked up the win, cut the series 2-1. Shout out to Drew Holiday making that go-ahead driving layup with 11.4 seconds left. Ardo, what do you got for me?
I got a winner, and we were talking some numbers. My number is going to be 79% because Giannis had 33, Chris Middleton had 35. Let me use my calculator for a second here. That equals 68. The Bucks in total had 86. Let me keep using that calculator. That's 79%. From those two individuals of the Bucks output, the most for a duo in NBA playoff history.
You are really good at math. Did you do all that math by yourself?
I used the calculator.
Okay. Good job. I'm going to go winner. Buck that, because everyone knows that when a team goes down 3-0, it does not end in their favor. The Bucks did not want that to happen. Started this one hot, allowing the Nets to score their fewest points in any first quarter in the playoff history. The Bucks were up by almost 30 at one point before trailing by 3 with 83 seconds left, but they held on to get the dub. So buck that, haters.
Indeed.
Pull that one off.
I got a loser for you. It's Brown and out. Now follow me on this one. KD scored the final 9 points for the Nets, but did not attempt a shot in the final minute and 20 until the look at the buzzer. You know who was taking some late shots, though? Bruce Brown. The final 2 possessions. I can't imagine that's exactly how it was drawn up.
I feel like, yes, Bruce Brown was ready for that action. All right, loser, freebies. Giannis is tripping, specifically when he's at the free throw line, and he needs to tighten it up because free throws are free money. That's why they're called free throws, but he just gave free money away by airballing one and then taking 11 seconds, therefore violating the 10-second rule. That is just giving away free money. I mean, they pulled it out, so it's perfectly fine, I guess.
Now we also have the Jazz clipping the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George each went over 20 points for the 9th straight game, but it wasn't enough as Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz lit it up from deep on their way to a 2-0 series lead. Give it to me.
That guy's really good. And that's why my winner is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a superhero, and so is Spider-Man. So super that he's the first Jazz player in Jazz postseason history to make 15 shots in consecutive games. He's also the first Jazz player with 35 points in back-to-back games since Karl Malone. So yes, that guy, he's got superpowers.
Karl Malone, pretty good. Not bad at all. Winner, Three's Company. That's a reference from like the 70s. 23 pointers for the Jazz, most in their franchise history. At one point, the Jazz had as many 3-pointers made as the Clippers had attempted.
Wow, so they were making that thing fly.
Certainly were. What do you think the odds are of hearing jazz in Utah?
Tim, let's start with Giannis and the Bucks. When we see KD hit that 3, you're like, ooh, it's going to be a Nets win. But then they come back and answer. How surprised were you with the Bucks?
Yeah, that's deflating to have a guy like P.J. Tucker be inside of his jersey on that play, and he knocks down a 3 anyway. It's deflating because you think, man, what are you supposed to do with this guy? But good news from Milwaukee, I trust him more now in late-game situations than I have the last 2 years. I mean, this is a team that had the #1 seed in the East 2 years in a row, flamed out in the playoffs, in large part because they couldn't close games, tight games, because they became so predictable with Giannis Antetokounmpo in isolation mode. It's not really his game. Giving the ball with a live dribble, in a big moment with 5 defenders waiting in the paint because he doesn't really have a mid-range shot. He has to get to the rim in that situation, and he's not a great foul shooter. So that's a bad combination for a guy to close games. But what you see now, what they like to do, put the ball in Chris Middleton's hands. He made 2 big jumpers down the stretch, matched KD a couple of times. And then the Drew Holiday play, even at the end of the game when they just said play on, I was so grateful to see Budenholzer say that at the time because most coaches would have taken the timeout. And if they took the timeout, I can almost guarantee you coming out of it, the ball's going to be in Giannis's hands at the top of the key with 5 defenders in the lane waiting on him. That has been a formula for disaster. So I think I have more faith in them now in one-possession games than I used to. Their defense was sensational the entire night. That was actually a score from the mid-'90s tonight. A game in the 80s.
My word.
I mean, those are games, that's a halftime now in the NBA. That brought me back to my era. Like there was actually some contact on the court. It was great to see that kind of defense tonight.
All right, let's look ahead to Friday's action. the Suns. So I've been a Babyface book fan since they were in the bubble last year, so I already know what I would say. But let's give me a little buy or sell. Are the Suns the team to beat in the West?
Wow, listen, I'm not gonna hedge here, but I'm gonna say it is an absolute toss-up between Phoenix and Utah. And what they're both reminding us of is what you watched in the regular season was legit. It wasn't an anomaly. It wasn't, two good stories. They turned into two great teams. And some of those other teams that had injuries or load management or just didn't take the regular season seriously enough and found themselves now playing from lower seeds, in those buildings, they see what they're running into. These are two teams that are buzzsaws at home. So I would love to say, yes, definitely the way they have played, but I think Utah, what they have done in the first two games against the Clippers has been just as impressive as what Phoenix has done. Now, I do think you're going to see a different Denver team in Game 3. I'll be shocked if Denver doesn't win that game and get back in this series. They're too good a team at home. They've got the MVP of the league. I think they get back in the series, but it looks like Utah and Phoenix are headed for a conference finals matchup, and they were the two best teams in the West this year, so they've deserved it.
Well, certainly would be exciting. Let's talk about another matchup, 76ers and Hawks. I'm going to give you a statement. You tell me if you're buying or selling this. Okay. The defensive adjustments made by the 76ers on Trae Young just won them the series.
I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy that because I was screaming it the first game. I didn't understand. They treated Trae Young like another dude. His name has to be in giant letters at the top of the whiteboard in the locker room. And then everybody else's name is significantly smaller than that. You have to make sure he does not come out and get into a rhythm. And the way they started the game on him with Danny Green, it was a very casual approach to who they were playing against. He comes out, he gets going, their entire team feeds off of that. So let's fast forward to Game 2. And I was screaming after the game, you've got to put Matisse Thybulle on Trae Young, and it's no help responsibility once he gives the ball up. Old school, old-fashioned face guard. I don't care what's going on. I'm not helping anybody. You just gave the ball up. You are not getting it back. And you use Thybulle, you use Ben Simmons. Obviously, Danny Green will get him some, and he's a very good defender. But Simmons and Thybulle are the two guys that can bother him the most with their reach and their length and their lateral quickness. So now I think they understand the importance of making sure that guy especially does not get in rhythm. Now, it's not going to be easy for the Sixers because this is a very good offensive team. They've got other guys that can hurt you. But Trae Young is the guy that if you contain him and you keep him to the mid-20s on an inefficient night, I don't see Atlanta being able to beat the Sixers. It'll be a 6-game series, and I think they've made the adjustments to give Doc Rivers credit because he got beat up. I live in that market. I listen to sports talk radio in Philadelphia. He was getting crushed the day after Game 1 because of what I just said. They just didn't look like they had a defined game plan against their best player, and it was really strange.
We'll see what happens out there. You have it, Tim Legler, breaking it down for us. Tim, as always, appreciate the insight.
Thanks.
Let's go around the association with the Sparks and Mystics.
Okay.
Yeah. So Washington's Tina Charles, she had 20 points and 10 rebounds to pass Lisa Leslie for second on the WNBA's double-double list. Charles, the number 1 overall pick in 2010, has 158 double-doubles. The Mystic beat the Sparks 89-71.
Oh, super casual.